Okay, in this video we're going to clean up a little bit more of our styles with media queries. One of the things you'll notice is that when we go responsive and we get to right about here, we get this strange gap or the text doesn't quite work with the image. So we got something we can do to fix that just temporarily. And then also when we go smaller to one column width, we have a different margin or padding here than we do in our aside. And we also see that eventually our block quote, when it gets really skinny, it gets a little crunch. So we'll do some things to get this space back. Okay, so let's start with the image. We'll come back to our style sheet. And what we're going to do is we're going to write one more media query. This gets you into the practice of writing media queries. This one's going to be for 40 ems. So this is essentially 640 pixels and smaller. Now we have two styles that we gave to our image. We're going to borrow those float left and float right. And we're going to do float left, comma, and float right. And we're going to change some styles here. Basically we're going to say, hey, let's go to 100% width when we get to 640 pixels or smaller. Let's see what that does. We'll hit refresh. And you can see that it gives it pretty large image size. And actually, that probably starts it too soon. So we forgot to write our media query, didn't we? So let's do that. And we're going to change this one to 40em. Make sure we also have the close bracket. So I did that a little out of order. Pardon, sorry for that. And we probably can format this just a little bit better. You probably should have written the media query first. So I got caught up there, but this should now change how things are. We'll hit refresh, there we go. Otherwise, it was doing it too soon. Because I didn't write the media query, it was still reading the 768 pixel media query. But I wanted to do it now for 40em instead of 40. So I hit refresh, and as we get smaller, there's a point where it breaks for the first media query, but we still have text wrap, which looks good. And as we get to this size, our image goes to 100%. Now in this case, I get a little bit of pixelation. You know, depending on what kind of image you have, does this work or not? In my case, I could live with it. It's not that bad. But if you were really particular, there is a way to actually swap the images out using an image set instead of what we did. But we'll save that for a Web Design 2 class. In this case, we just kind of have a Band-Aid solution for fixing that 100% width. But what I like about it now is that the smallest width, I've got the padding and the text consistent. Okay, next let's go back to this main. Notice at the first media query, we've got some padding on the edge, but it's different from the main and the aside. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to go up and find our main padding. And here it is. I'm just going to copy and paste that and bring that down to my media query and put it into the very first media query so that that stays consistent. So let's hit save and we'll hit refresh. And now you've got a consistent padding based upon between the aside and the main, which I think looks good. But now let's take a look at this block quote. When it starts getting narrow, it gets a little too narrow, things are getting, and I got some wasted space here. So let's get that back. And I'll do that at my smallest media query. And we'll do block quote. First thing I have to do is clear these margins. So I'm going to do margin left of 0 and a margin right of 0. We'll hit save. And now that background color fills out all the way to the padding, which I think looks better. But we still have a lot of space here. And that was done by a bunch of padding. So I'm going to do padding left. And let's bring that back down to just half an M, 0.5 M. And padding right of 0.5 M. Hit refresh, and that looks a lot better. So we gained some of that space back. Now you might be wondering, wow, do I have to do that for everything on my site for responsive design? And the answer is yes, although I'll tell you what, this, like we've maybe written about 30 lines of code. That's a lot quicker than building an entirely different website for mobile, wouldn't you say? So this is the advantage of responsive design by changing a lot of our dimensions to fluid dimensions, using a lot of percentages and also different attributes for max or minimums, depending upon what style property you're trying to change. All right, so that cleaned up our CSS. Next, let's take a look at web fonts.